Bienvenidos to Season 3 of Humans in Accounting podcast. In a world full of AI, automation, and endless workflows, we pause for a moment to focus on the real humans behind the numbers. Founders, leaders, humans share their journey, what drives them, and the moments that shape their path. Because behind every balance sheet, there's always a story worth telling. Humans in Accounting is brought to you by South Offices. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Humans in Accounting, where leaders and humans share their story behind their spreadsheets. As you know, my name is Alex Roman, and this podcast is brought to you by South Offices, connecting accounting talent across borders. Today, we're in August 2026. Incredibly, in a few months, we'll be finishing the year. I'm super excited. I'm happy just to introduce Jabree Brooks. He's the founder and a principal at a firm, Advisory. He's based in Miami, and he is the first time in Humans in Accounting. So Jabree, I'm super happy we're doing this together. How are you?
Great. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for joining. The truth is that we never met physically. Miami has been, and typically for all Argentinians, it's like the number one destination, pretty sure, of the States. And whenever I go to the States, probably is where I land, because it's Miami, and then I do other connections. Next time I'll be there, I'll make sure just to say hi. Maybe we can go for a coffee and talk face to face.
Sounds good.
Yeah, perfect. So let's start. I wanna ask you a little bit about your background. I know you started your career in other companies, in Big Fours. Tell me a little bit about what you have been doing before you founded and you started for Palm Advisory.
Sure. Happy to do so. So I am originally from Pennsylvania, town right outside of Philadelphia. I went to college at Villanova University. You can see up on the wall behind me there. So I went to Villanova for undergrad, and I started out at Ernst & Young. So I started out in public accounting. I have a bachelor's and a master's in accounting. And so it always was destined to do accounting, I guess. So I really enjoyed it, understood it. And then I worked at Ernst & Young for a while, but I wanted to get to the big city. So I decided to leave Philadelphia, which is a big city, but to go even bigger. And I moved to New York City. And I took a job at UBS Investment Bank, sitting on the trading desk. Unfortunately, the timing wasn't that great because the great financial crisis happened, and I was working in mortgage-backed securities of all sectors. But I learned a lot, saw a lot, and so did that for a couple years. Then I moved over to JPMorgan on their trading desk, doing commodities. And so I did that for a while, and then I started taking the CFA exam, passed that, and moved into credit risk, working with the portfolio managers, working with quants. So I've always been very quantitative and always really liked numbers. But I was working at a large firm, really enjoyed my time at JPMorgan, but I felt like it was hard to have an impact being basically a small fish in a big pond. And so I wanted to move to a smaller company where I can actually move the needle and have a seat at the table and make some of the decisions. And fortunately, I was able to become the CFO of a mechanical contracting and water treatment company in New York City. And there I was my first CFO role. It was a much smaller company, much smaller than JPMorgan, UBS, and Ernst & Young. So it was about 175 people when I joined. And from there, I worked closely with the CEO as his CFO. And we did a lot of things that were very strategic, focused on trying to grow the company. We also did multiple acquisitions. So that was fun. That was my first time having the experience being on the front lines, doing the due diligence and underwriting of deal, getting access to data rooms. And then the real work starts once you close on those acquisitions. So we did 3 acquisitions while I was there. And then I decided I wanted to move into more real estate development. And so I took my next CFO role as at a real estate developer based in New York, focused on co-living. Not sure how familiar you are with co-living, but it's basically shared housing, and it's an affordable housing play. And so we did that, but unfortunately COVID had other plans. And so that was really tough on the co-living industry. but we still were able to get through and weather the storm there and be able to raise capital, but just we didn't grow as quickly as we would have liked. And then my wife and I looked at each other and said, it's time to change things up a bit after going through COVID, being in an apartment in New York City. We decided to move to Miami, Florida, which is where I am now, where it's always sunny and the weather is great. We have family here. I was also able to get an even larger CFO role at a multi-billion-dollar real estate development firm down here in Miami, and worked on some really exciting large condos, hotels, etc. But while all that was happening, I just kept thinking about what I wanted to do next. I started at very large companies, and then I just kept going smaller and smaller, and just really got more and more excited about the entrepreneurial environment. I'm working closely with CEOs and founders, and I just thought, you know what, there's an opportunity out there for me to continue to do that, but do it with other and multiple business owners and be able to add a lot of value with my experience and expertise.
Right, perfect. All right. So I have so many questions. I didn't want just to interrupt you, but let's go back. You said you have a degree in accounting. Was this something that you always know? Why accounting? Well, there is this shortage in accounting, and the first thing that came to my mind is, hey, why you had? I mean, you know from that moment at your age that you wanted just to go this road. Was it your family? Was it something? Why not architecture? Why not engineering?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I did in high school. I thought I was going to do engineering, but then I just started having, because I've always been interested in the numbers, and math has always been my favorite subject. But just talking to different people who I viewed as mentors. And so I started leaning toward finance. But at Villanova, you actually take accounting class first in your freshman year. And so once I got there, I had an amazing teacher, several amazing teachers, but my first teacher explained accounting well. And accounting is one of those things where you either love it or hate it. And I actually loved it. It made a lot of sense. And I knew that accounting was the foundation for all businesses. I thought I was going to do finance, but talking to a mentor, they basically said to me, if you're going to get an MBA or a master's, maybe do accounting for undergrad and then do finance when you get your MBA. And so accounting, I just really enjoyed the classes. I enjoyed the case studies that we did there at Villanova. And then they also had internship programs and things like that allow me to really see accounting firsthand. And I just loved it. I don't know. I'm a numbers guy, and I like that it really helps you be able to understand businesses if you really can understand the accounting and be able to follow the numbers. And so, yeah, and so it wasn't something that as a little child I wanted to do accounting. There's nobody in my family that does accounting, but as I got to college and took my first class and then took another class, I was like, you know what, this makes a lot of sense. And I just knew that there would be some job stability as well because of all the companies that would come to Villanova, career day and things like that. And I just saw there was a huge opportunity there for me. And yeah, I just knew it would just open up a lot of doors for me in the future, which it has.
I'm pretty sure that this explanation that you gave me, why in your case you went through the accounting path, it's probably something that happens to many many humans, many of us. Like, but it's not accounting. Maybe it was another really good professor or a really good mentor who saw a young version of ourselves and had a talk with us, and probably after that class or after that talk that we have with someone that we consider it's important, and the advice that they gave us, well, it suddenly decides like the rest of our path. In your case, well, you had all this experience working in multiple big companies, and then tell me a little bit about how you started a Four Palm Advisory 2 years ago. When did you started this?
About 14 months ago. So we're not quite at 2 year mark, but it's been a great ride. It's been a great ride. And so go ahead.
No. Sorry, I wanted just to ask you that you started then over a year ago, and was it something that you said, hey, now is the timing? Something specific happened, and you said, hey, now I already had all this experience, or you want to just, well, you mentioned give an impact and maybe be able just to talk directly with other business owners and help? What was it the thing that made you said, hey, now is the timing?
Yeah, so prior to even launching 4Palm, I probably spent about 2 years on a path to acquiring a business. I listened to all the podcasts, read all the books. And so I was really deep into that world of trying to buy a business, met with a lot of business owners. And I kept coming back to doing something more entrepreneurial, something that I can actually, my kids can be proud of, my family can be proud of, and really set my family up for success long term and create generational wealth. It's not all about the money, but I also want to be able to impact lives. I really enjoy, as a CFO for about 10 years, managing teams, working with people and solving problems. So I am a problem solver. And so
Right.
buying a business was just something that it just resonated with me, being an owner of a business and working with really talented, smart people, energetic people, et cetera. So for about 2 years, I looked. I unfortunately was not able to acquire a business. Valuations for the different industries that I was considering didn't make sense at the time. But more importantly, I really wanted it to be a business here in Miami, and I wanted it to be large enough where it made sense financially for me and my family. And so there were a lot of great businesses that were elsewhere. And then I started to think about accounting firms. And as you're aware, valuations are really high right now. And then as I was talking to different people in my network, a former founding partner of a real estate firm that I worked at, he reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in helping him just on a part-time basis launch his private equity firm. And so the rest is history, because he basically said, Jabree, I know you want to buy a business. Why not start your own? He planted the seed in my head, and I ran the numbers. And I was like, this makes more sense to start a business, and I can revisit buying a business later. And so he basically hired me on as his fractional CFO. And that's what 4Palm was formed based off of that. And that was the beginning, getting that first client right out of the gate, a large client. So I was fortunate enough to have that happen. And then it just kind of hit the ground running from there.
How was that first client? He was someone or how did you get that first client?
Yeah, so I used to be his CFO, and then
Mm,
he decided to launch a private equity firm. He was raising money and he needed help. If you're a founder or you're a principal at a PE firm, there's a lot that needs to happen. And so having a fractional CFO by your side, helping make sure you're setting everything up and getting the systems in place, the accounting in place. These are all
right.
the things, and vetting different vendors, right? There's a lot of vendors that you have to meet with, get different proposals and quotes and do all those things. So there was a lot of work for him, and we've worked together for several years prior to that. And so it was kind of like getting the band back together again. And so, yeah, we basically reached out to me, and I had capacity because I was in the midst of trying to acquire a business. And he asked if I would want to expand the relationship and continue going forward. And so that was my first client. It's still a client of mine. It's one of my largest ones. And we've continued to deepen the relationship there. And so we've been doing a great job. And I've since added other team members at 4Palm to help out on that account as well.
That's great. That's great. Jabree, I have 17 more questions about your business, which I'm going to ask in 1 minute, but I don't want just to forget this one that it's important for me. I'm going to change subjects like really strong. And I'm going to ask you, Jabree, what's your favorite food?
Wow. And so I'm actually hungry right now. It's almost lunchtime. So I love
Right.
food. That's one of the things that my wife and I and my kids as well, we really enjoy going out to restaurants and trying new things. But what I would say is if I had to, and I often struggle when I go to Thai restaurants. So Thai food, in particular curry, any curry, I love it. I've been to Thailand twice, and it's even better there, obviously. But we definitely have found some really good Thai restaurants, especially when we lived in New York. But red curry, green curry, any curry, just the flavor, the profile is just amazing. And so I always struggle to decide which one to choose when I go to a restaurant. So my wife and I, we like sharing food. So oftentimes she'll order one, I'll order the other, and then you get to at least try more than one. But I would definitely say curry for sure. Any type of curry.
That's great. I love curry. I love Thai food. I've never been to Thailand. I really I really gotta go. I really love the food. And from what you said, if you go for the first time to a restaurant, do you order something that like, do you always go with the same type of food, or if there's something like new that you never had before, you go with that option? I don't know why I'm asking this question. Well, because of something that you said, but I'm really interested.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm always interested in trying something new. I always ask the waiter or waitress for a recommendation as well. We do have our go-to restaurants, but I try to deviate and get something new when I go. But every once in a while, I'm like, you know what? I really like that one dish that I had, so I'll order that again. But I definitely like getting something different. And if somebody in my group orders the dish that I want, it's just funny. People make fun of me for it, but I won't order it. I want to be able to order and also try your food, right? So if we went out and you ordered something, I would definitely be interested in trying your food.
Yeah,
But I'm a
yeah.
sharer, so I like sharing.
I thought I had that feeling that was going to be your answer. That's why I asked you that question, because for me it's the same. If I go to a restaurant that I never been, I also ask the waiter or the waitress, hey, what's the thing that you guys do the best? Like, what's the thing that I should try? You tell me. Me, I'm open, like, just to open, like, to just to eat any food, I guess. So since I don't have any something a restriction, I usually ask that question and I order it without knowing what it is. Perfect. Thank you for asking. I'm just doing a ranking of all the humans in accounting. I can tell you for sure, unfortunately, or Thai, it's not in the top 5 of the options of
Wow.
the rest of the guests. No, there were a few humans in accounting that went with Thai, but it has only a few votes
Okay.
with them. Well, at least my objective is just to publish one when we get to the episode 100. We're 60 episodes, something like that. So still a few more to go. Let's go back to Four Palma Advisory, because I have a few questions there. What are the things you've been running your own business for this 14 months? What are the things that you've learned? Give me an example of of this 14 months. What's a big achievement that you got? And also tell me one mistake, something that you didn't know that it was going to happen. What are the two things that come to your mind when I ask you those questions?
Sure. So I'll start with the mistake first. So
Sure.
the mistake that we made was recently was taking on too many clients. It's a good problem to have, but we were taking on too many clients all at the same time without having the proper processes and systems in place. So it just made it very hard on the team. But it highlighted some gaps that we have, and I'll be the first to admit that my team has done a fantastic job getting through that, and that none of the clients are negatively impacted. But it does result in some longer days for us and just kind of working through it. And it also results in me as the founder getting involved and helping out my team. So I never want to just leave the team behind or leave them struggling. I definitely jump in and make sure that things are being addressed and I'm helping get answers to anything out there. But onboarding multiple clients all at the same time highlighted that we need to improve the processes and systems that we have in place and leveraging technology a bit more. And so that is definitely our goal for the remainder of the year. There's a lot of great technologies out there to help firms, accounting or non-accounting firms, scale and be able to stay organized. But when you're
And
on,
Jabree, sorry to interrupt you, but when you were onboarding those clients, didn't you have the feeling of, hey, this might be a mistake, like before even doing them, like when you accepted, like, yeah, this is a challenge, let's go for it, we're gonna make it, before realizing that it was a mistake? Did you think that this could go on a wrong direction, or was it something that, well, you ended up discovering afterwards?
yeah, so the way it works, especially, or what I've experienced is that when you're onboarding clients, the sales cycle is not real. It varies, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
think you have a client and then maybe they go silent or they're just bogged down
Right.
with other priorities, and then they come back to you. So that's basically what happened. Where some of these clients we talked to a couple months ago, but then when they have a problem or they want to bring in some experts to help them get things cleaned up or rectified, then they're ready to hit go. And so
Right.
I wouldn't want to turn away a client just because we have several that are onboarding at the same time. Like I said, it's a good problem to have, but it just
Right.
highlighted that we need to tighten up some of our processes to make sure the onboarding process is smooth and that we're able to just stay super organized. Being organized is really important to me, but just onboarding all of them, it's like multiple clients at the same time, it definitely was a challenge, but we got through it. It just resulted in a little more chaos
Right.
than,
Right.
than expected, but it's okay. We definitely will get better. And the team has worked very hard. And we've been adding to the team as a result of that as well.
Well, maybe it was good that that happened because now it forced you or it made you realize like, hey, hold on, we just need just to improve this. And maybe if that would have never happened, it was going to be something that eventually was going to explode. And sometimes it's better just to discover something at an early stage than later on.
Right.
So let's
Right.
look at the bright side. And what about a milestone? Like, what's the first thing that comes to mind when I ask you in this 14 months? What's an achievement? Something that yeah, a milestone.
Yeah, so I guess I would say there are two of them. And so Forpom initially started out where the vision that I had for it was fractional CFO services. And that was
Mhm.
all I was going to do. But I quickly realized there was an opportunity there for bookkeeping and more of the traditional accounting services that we can provide. But it forced me to need to bring on more people. There's only so many hours in the day. And so I had to add to the team. So a milestone for me was making my first two key hires, which are controller and accounting manager. So shout out to Nicole and Jenny for taking the leap and joining. They've been fantastic. So that was allowed me to leverage their expertise and time to unlock my abilities to work on other things. And then with that, we were able to deliver A+ service to our clients. And so the other milestone was getting my clients to get client referrals, right? That's a huge accomplishment and just a really a proud moment where you have existing clients that are referring you to other clients. And so those two things sort of happened around the same time, which highlighted the benefit of bringing on talented people so that we can continue to do a great job and deliver for our clients. But then they start making referrals. And so now we are getting more and more client referrals, which is great. And it's a great sign that our clients are happy and want to tell others about Forpom.
That's great. Shout out to them, Nicole and
Jenny.
Nicole and Jenny. Shout out to them. Then we're gonna tag or share this podcast to them. It's nice just to value your team. I wanna ask you as a business owner. Sometimes what we experience is and mainly like in the early age of a company of a firm that you're constantly working in the business because you got to make the decisions and it's hard to delegate. Have you, what are your thoughts on that? Like, were you able just to transition or you're still really, really involved in the business? Were you able just to stop and start working a little bit on the business? I know this is something that affects us all, and I'm really interested in knowing your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so definitely. I mean, I definitely spent a lot of time on being in the weeds. I've always been that
Exactly.
way throughout my career, but what I've also done throughout my career is I always try my best to hire people who are smarter than me. And that's
Right.
something that a person once told me. So surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. I have no problem with that because that allows me to level up and it challenges me, but allows us to get the best answer collectively as a team. And so, yeah, definitely still to this day, spend more time than I would like working in the business instead of on it. But it's been improving. And by hiring controllers and accounting managers to join the team and then do the proper handoff where the client, maybe I'm the one that has the initial discovery call, but then as we're getting closer to signing up the clients, I'm now bringing in the rest of the team and saying, hey, here are your day-to-day points of contact on a go-forward basis and continue that because otherwise the clients will all keep coming to me And so that is a work in progress, which is why we need to make sure we have the right systems in place and the right processes and have things documented. And then also just continue to hire A plus people. So we
Right.
now that I have more people on the team, we go through a more robust screening process, interview process, and make sure that we're getting the right people on the team, because that will allow us all to be able to do other things more and work on more higher value items. And that's what I've been trying to do as I continue to grow the team and hire people. So yeah, I definitely am still spending more time than I would like, but it's still, I'm first year and a half is to be expected as you're rapidly growing, but that's not the long-term play. The long-term play is to continue to bring on A plus people that are leaders in their own right, to come in and give them room to be able to grow and build a supporting team around them, because that will allow people to stay. Because I want people to join 4Palm and stay here and be able to grow with us.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And Jabree, and this for 14 months, like, well, you started by yourself. Right now, how many people you have in your team?
So hopefully in the next week or so there'll be 10 of us. And
10.
so yeah, so we are hopefully having our 10th person start next week or so. So fingers
Well,
crossed.
that's
But yeah.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, you've been growing a lot, so that means that you guys are definitely doing really good work. So congrats on that. Jabree, let me ask you this one. I like just to ask. This is a question just to round out the episode, and this is the question that I like the most asking. You already gave, without knowing, some really good advice through your experience and your business. But I want to ask you this: if there's someone out there in the future running and listening to this podcast, or maybe they're driving, or maybe they're doing something else, and they're listening to us, and they are at that point of maybe in your career, when a few years ago, when you said, "Hey, I just want to start my own accounting firm." Now in 2026, almost 2027, with all the tools, with that, like with the world how it is right now, what's one piece of advice that maybe you can give them?
Yeah, what I would say is basically the same advice that I did when I was starting out, which is reach out to other people who have
Right.
a little bit earlier or further along in that process. Because what I've learned in this accounting community of accounting firm owners, everyone has been great to just share advice and give their thoughts. I mean, because people are honored and really like appreciate if people view them as like, okay, can give advice to someone. Like if someone reached out to me, like I would be honored that they want to hear what I have to say and learn from
Right.
some of the mistakes that I've made. So for me, I definitely have talked to a variety of accounting firm owners. They've been gracious with their time. Obviously, I need to show up with very specific questions so that it's a good use of their time. I don't want to waste anybody's time. And I would say that to folks that are considering taking the leap and starting their own business or launching their own firm. But people are definitely open to having a conversation and continue to share their thoughts and advice. It's one of those things where it's not so competitive like people think. There's more than enough opportunity to go around, especially in the accounting space. And so I actually have a call later today with another accounting firm owner. They're much larger. They've been around a lot longer. And so I want to speak with them to learn from them and see and get their advice on some of the things that I'm dealing with as we're growing, right? As 4Palm is growing rapidly. And so I want to be able to learn from others and not try to reinvent the wheel. So I would say reach out to other people. Not everybody's going to have the time to do it, but there's more than enough people out there that would be willing to give a few minutes of their time just to chat with you and be able to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. And so I definitely would recommend that.
Yes, for sure. This is something that I've noticed that this year's working in the accounting industry, that still I don't know the reason why, but I feel this is my feeling. I haven't worked, sorry, in all the industries, but I have a feeling that specifically in accounting, everyone, like, there is this spirit of collaboration, of helping each other. Exactly what you said. Like, hey, look, I've been there. These were a few mistakes that I made. Don't make them, or this is something that has worked for me. I'm super happy just to tell you my experience, and you can do, and you can go your way. Jabree, it was great having you here in Humans in Accounting. I'm sure maybe there are a few people that actually want just to reach out to you so that you can tell a little bit more about your experience, or maybe there are some clients in Miami or anywhere in the States that really want just to work with you. What's the best way just to reach out to you?
Sure. So you can always contact me by email, and that's Jabree, Jabree, at 4palm.com. So that's the easiest way. I'm always very responsive on email, but also if you want to hear more, learn more about our firm, you can also head to our website, www.4palm.com. We also have some testimonials on there and just information on the type of industries that we cover and the type of work that we can do and ways that we can add value. So the 4Palm team is here, and we definitely would love to hear from you.
Jabree, I'll make sure just to tag you when we upload this episode and put the link to your website and your email address. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you here in Humans in Accounting. And for sure, next time I'm in Miami, I'll let you know. Maybe we could even go and have some Thai food on a good restaurant that you recommend.
There you
That'll
go.
be on me. All right.
That'd be great. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.